News 10 presents Dialogue, a weekly public affairs program exploring community concerns and spotlighting regional activities.
And good Sunday morning to you, everybody. Welcome to Dialogue. We are still celebrating America 250 by talking with just a few of the many veterans who have served, sacrificed, and made it possible for America to reach 250 years. I am joined by Pamela Green, Army veteran, 26-year federal employee. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, many of us, not everybody knew, but many of us know that you are a veteran.
Yes.
So what was the inspiration for you to join the Army?
I had several family members who had been in the military, all branches. My father was a Korean vet. My cousin, one of my favorite cousins, joined the Navy. My brother attempted to join the Marine Corps. They discovered some issues, so he ended up coming back home. My daughter joined, and now my granddaughter is at Navy boot camp.
Of a family of
military
people. So how
Right.
many years did you serve?
I only did 4 because I got injured.
Okay. But again, 26-year federal employee, you're at MCLB. What is your greatest memory or the greatest memories from your service?
I actually, unlike a lot of people, enjoyed boot camp. I was a tomboy. I wasn't a girly girl. So all the climbing trees and jumping off things and shooting and all of that, I grew up like that. My daddy had me out in the woods hunting with him. So none of that was a threat to me. So when I got injured, I was very disappointed because I went in with the mindset that this is going to be a 20-year career.
And of course, retire from the military. And did you get to travel?
I did not. I was stationed in Hawaii, tough duty.
Tough duty.
No, it was tough duty. So after Fort Jackson, and back then it was Fort Ben Harrison, Indiana, where I went to school for my MOS, which was admin clerk. And so I ended up getting stationed. You know, they give you an opportunity to choose 3. We'll try to get you there. And I went to Hawaii.
Well, again, tough position to be in, right? Let's talk about being a female, because there are challenges for many people, male or female, in terms of military service. But what about being a female in the Army back then, and as we see in the headlines today, even now?
I really didn't have a tough time. I mean, you hear about the things about the sexual harassment and all of that, but again, I grew up tomboyish, so none of that bothered me. So I actually enjoyed it, met some of the best friends that I still keep in contact with today. So that was it, that was it for me. And like I said, I just enjoyed service. I was disappointed when I couldn't re-enlist.
So the 4 years that you were active, how did those years shape you?
It gave me discipline, let me know that I can do pretty much anything I wanted to do. Like I said, the yelling from the drill instructors didn't really bother me.
Didn't faze you?
It didn't faze me. But those are the lessons I learned, is just basically persevering, overcoming obstacles, because we literally had to overcome obstacles. But that was pretty much it. It's just that discipline, which I still carry today. There's certain things, including the way I even make my bed, that they taught me, because my mother was really neat, but when you start having to do, I call them hospital corners, and your other veterans will tell you it's a certain way you have to make it. You better be able to bounce a quarter off that bed when you get done.
And I was about to ask you about those types of things that have carried you into your career now. Your daughter, your granddaughter, they've witnessed you.
Right.
This military veteran. So what about the lessons that you've imparted to them?
I tried to impart those same lessons to them. They thought I was being tough, especially with my husband being also an Army veteran. They just thought I was being too tough on them, and one day I'm going to get out. Well, both of them ended up joining the military. Like I said, one went to the Army, and the granddaughter now is in the Navy, and she's now understanding why we did certain things or said certain things. Matter of fact, we got a chance to talk to her last week for a few minutes, and one of the things she said was, "Thank you for preparing me."
Wow. Wow. Let's reflect over the 250 years. Even going back to the Civil War, there were African Americans, black soldiers serving on up until today. And I know that there are, conversations, we hear about these conversations where some in the military don't think minorities should be in the military. They don't think women should be in the military. What is your response?
My response is women can do just a good of a job serving as men. Now, some of the MOSs that they had back in my day that women couldn't do, one of which was airborne. Because, like I said, I was a tomboy. I literally wanted to jump out of planes, and they wouldn't. This was in 83. They wouldn't let women jump. Now you see the females run around with jump wings, and I'm sort of jealous, but it's just certain things that they didn't think was a woman's place. Now they've evolved since then, of course, because women are doing all kind of things now.
Well, what are you doing? I know that you're at MCLB, Albany. What is your position? What do you do? And I guess when you interact with military members, active military members, what are your conversations?
I'm the base public affairs officer, but I also have a dual role, which is the community liaison officer. It's called a CPLO.
Okay.
So not only does my office handle all the media, interacting with the media, writing stories, taking pictures, all of that. The other side of my job is community engagement, legislative engagement. If a member, say for instance, a member of Congress, Congressman Bishop or any of the members wanted to visit base, they would contact me first, and then I have to run that up the chain, let higher headquarters know that
protocol
get that all the protocol stuff. Okay. And that's what I do for the base, and I have an awesome team.
Well, Pam, I've known you for a very, very long time. And again, I've shared with people that you were in the military, and they're like, what? Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for being an inspiration, especially to those young women out there who dare. Absolutely. Who dare. Thank you so much, Pam. Well, stay with us as we say thank you to the 68888. When we come back, we'll continue to salute our veterans as America celebrates 250 years. I am joined by Keith Smith, retired Army veteran. He flew Black Hawk helicopters during his military career. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Let's go back. Why did you join the military?
So I joined when I was in high school, and I always had an aspiration to do something big, something bigger than myself. And
by the way, Early County
yes, ma'am.
Is home.
Early County, Blakely, Georgia. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you wanted to do something big.
Yes. I had aspirations to fly as a kid, and first I was trying to go through the Air Force, but the Army kind of snagged me up before then, and my career was off to a success from there.
Now, how many years of service?
21 total.
And then let's talk about your travels, because in looking at, let's see, your information, you were in the Middle East. You had 2 combat tours in Afghanistan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar.
Yes.
Okay, and your favorite though, Hawaii.
That's correct.
And so when you think about, your service, what are some of the highlights? What are some of your favorite memories?
So the travel by far is the best experience I had in the military. And as far as the benefits, medical, travel, it all kind of encompasses the career, and it enables me to do more. So I enjoyed it that far.
Now, and you were also what, military police?
I was a military police officer, yes.
And again, retired from after 21 years of military service. I was sharing with you prior to our conversation, our dialogue, that just this past week, there's information, a new Gallup poll, and it says that Americans' pride in the U.S. on several key attributes has dropped since 2017, including the nation's military and its political influence around the globe. So when you hear that the pride in terms of the military is not what it maybe once was,
yes.
What is your reaction? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so even today, I try to encourage people, especially young people, to join the military. And I feel it is an honor to have been able to serve in what is the best military in the world and to successfully retire from there. When I joined the Army, we had a slogan at the time. It was "Be all you can be," and that's exactly.
I remember the commercials. Yes.
That's exactly what they enabled me to do, is to be all I could be.
Now, your greatest memories, and of course we've touched on the travel.
Yes, it would have to be the deployments, because in those environments, I deployed 4 times, combat tours, and those were situations where you really didn't know if you were going to come back. It was a sacrifice, but I was blessed to be able to be back, right state of mind and good health.
And then when you think about pride, the pride in your service, we've got some photographs of you when you were serving. Think about or reflect on that pride. And the reason I'm talking about that pride is because there are some who are not proud to have served. I mean, and I'm not saying that all of the experiences were bad for them, but, we need the young people still, this country, 250 years, we didn't just get here, by magic, by a magical carpet or anything like that. There was some sacrifice, and you just touched on that, but talk about the pride.
Yeah, so in talking with a lot of young people in today's world, they tend to tell me, well, the military is not for me. But I like to turn that around and say everybody is not for the military. Because when you think about it, you could do anything that you really put your mind to. And that's exactly what the military, the Army, enabled me to do. They were there as a catalyst to get me to where I needed to be in life.
Are there any, or were there any times when you second-guessed your decision?
Several, but I feel that even in life, like you said, there are positives, there are negatives. You just cleave on to the positive and let the negative go.
What are you doing now?
I do a lot of volunteer work. I do construction, I travel a lot, and I also work on older vehicles.
Okay, the hobbies. You got those hobbies. And do you have any other family members who are members of the military or have been members of the military?
I am a first-generation service member.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Youngest of 8 kids, the only one that ever ventured off into the military.
And again, when you talk to young people today, in your, the elevator speech, what do you say? What do you say to them in terms of joining the military?
Do it, you can do it. I mean, it's a can-do attitude that you have to have, and they instill within that. I mean, they make sure you have all the leadership principles, loyalty, individual courage, professionalism, integrity. It's all encompassed in the military.
And help to shape you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And welcome back, everybody. As I mentioned, we are now talking about the sacrifices, the mental and physical impact on our veterans throughout these 250 years. Of course, there are positive experiences and for some, not so positive. I am now joined by Manswell Peterson. You know him. He's a regular here, an author, Navy veteran, PTSD advocate. And so thank you for participating and for sharing this story. Yes. You've actually written a book.
Yes.
And before we get into that, let's talk about the positives. You were in the military for how long?
I was in the military for 4 years. I did Navy, and I'm proud of that time. My son is actually in the Army, and so he's a first lieutenant. So he broke our streak of 7 people going
in the
into
Navy.
Yes, before that it was 6 people in the Army. So now we got to try to break that streak back to the Navy again.
But still, you're serving, and
Yes.
so let's talk about the positives
Yes.
that you experienced.
You know, the positives is so powerful. It's like military bearing. You've heard that from your previous guest. Military bearing, the discipline, the actually know how to do stuff. And if you don't know how, you're going to ask someone. You're going to figure out a way to get it done. And that's what the military taught me, because I went in at 18. When I went in, my high school class was doing senior pictures and senior trips. I was in the Navy. And so when I got out of boot camp, I came back. They were getting ready to go on senior trip. And I was like, I got 15 days and I got to report back. And that was one of the things that showed me that, you know, I had already moved up in life to those levels.
Getting that maturity,
Yes,
too.
yes, it was totally different.
And so you have been able to use what you learned, you know, throughout those 4 years.
Yes.
In terms of helping to shape who you are.
Yes.
Now, those are the positives.
Yes.
And so this book, since the military, you've become an advocate for
Yes.
veterans, and specifically PTSD.
Yes.
And the book is expected to come out, what, later this month?
Later this month, yes.
Wow. And the name of it?
Still standing.
It's a true story of survival, a fight for justice, a life that refused to break. It's the true story of a Navy sailor, and that Navy sailor is Manswell T. Peterson. What happened?
At 18, I went in the Navy. 19, I was stationed at a place most people don't know exists, Adak, Alaska. And I ran into a female officer, and she happened to be an abuser. And so I literally, at her hands, experienced military sexual trauma. And I dealt with that for a year. I thought I was getting away from her, and she actually forced me to extend at Adak, Alaska for another year. And she told me, if you go, I'll destroy your career. And you're stuck at that point because you're 19. Who are they going to believe? The 19-year-old or the decorated female officer? And so I stayed there for a whole nother year. And when the time was to go, I literally booked my flight a day earlier than I told her so I could get away. Got away, went to the Carl Vinson and thought everything was over with and smooth. I get a phone call and she says, you got away, but I got a friend there and she's going to take over where I left off at. And so I was being passed on from one abuser to the next. And most people don't understand, they hang in packs. And that's real life. If you study predators, they hang in packs. And so it feared me and it made my stomach drop. And I went and told my chief petty officer on the Carl Vinson. 3 days later, I was off the Carl Vinson to Treasure Island. And I didn't even realize they were about to process me out of the Navy. I had just re-enlisted for 6 years.
I want to fast forward. We're going to talk more about that, but there is documentation.
Yes.
These are not just accusations.
Right.
You've got Congress people working with you. I mean, now, because you had to fight for your benefits.
Yes, the Secretary of the Navy knows what's going on. The Secretary of VA knows what's going on. Congressman Sanford Bishop, Senator John Ossoff, they're all fighting together, trying to get this piece together, because for years I ran into the red tape and bureaucracy because there was an Operation Tailhook from the Navy. It was during my time in the Navy, the early 90s, and it happened, so they didn't want another tailhook situation coming out. All the horror stories are already out, so they wanted it to go away. So when I went in 2001 to apply for my benefits, I got out in 93. 2001, I applied for my PTSD due to MST. They put the paperwork in, and then they closed it. Senator Johnny Isakson actually tried to help me then. He ran into the red tape, rest his soul, he's gone now. 2011, we go back to file the paperwork. They said we never saw the original paperwork, but they labeled it PTSD reopened. You can't reopen something that was never open. They still turned it down. In 2019, I got a call from Atlanta VA and said, we're doing a Columbus community event, and most veterans know they'll go out in the communities and they'll bring teams of people, Raiders and everybody else. I sat down with the guy, and when I got halfway done, he looked at me and said, I got to get my supervisor. When he got the supervisor, she said, I'm going to process this for you. The average veteran for PTSD to MST gets 10, 30, maybe 50%. I got 70% because all of my stuff was there, and they saw all the proof from my transfers to how I went from a 4.0 sailor to a 1.0 sailor to doing 2 months on a ship. You don't do 2 months on a ship. You do 2 or 3 years. I got transferred to Treasure Island. From Treasure Island, they gave me a check and said, bye, see you later. And I took all that home at 21 and nobody knew. For years I held that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how long did you hold all of this in?
Well, the stigma is that you have to hold it in because people, they're going to look at you, they're going to judge you, they're going to talk about you, you know, you're a guy. You should have been happy with that.
And again, I want to make sure people understand what not only is PTSD, but it is military sexual trauma,
Yes.
MST.
Yes.
It refers to the experiences of sexual assault or threatening sexual harassment during military service. So you held that in for how many years?
It's been 34, this is the first time I've talked about 35 years.
So I know you're married with children.
Yes.
What was that conversation like when you shared with your wife?
I explained it to her when we were dating so she would know, because PTSD is hard enough to deal with. PTSD with MST is even harder because when the side effects are the hypertension, the heart condition, the diabetes.
You've had a heart attack?
Yes, October last year. And that's, most people don't even realize that. My readers, everybody's finding this out for the first time now. I went to Phoebe and they did the InSTEMI thing, and they went in and he's like, your numbers are way too high. We got to see if we got to put some blockers in here or stents. And so luckily we don't have any stents, but we need you to stay calm, stay calm, stay calm, because now I have damage at the bottom of my heart. And he said, this is based off the hypertension, the stress, everything dealing with your PTSD. And so now I try to keep myself as calm on everything. I don't let nothing bother me because it can affect you and people don't understand that.
Well, in fact, you shared with me that your, how shall I say, your quiet time, your dealing with this stress has resulted in you becoming an author. Not only this book, but all of your imaginary characters and all of that.
That is how I blocked out all the bad stuff, because people don't realize that I get probably 2 hours sleep a night. You ask any veteran with PTSD, they'll tell you rarely sleep. I collapse sometimes during the day. My wife had to change her profession from being full-time in the college admin to where she works at home now to help me out, because I'll go through episodes and she's there, she's trained. I have a service dog at home. Everything is in place, but she understands. I tell people, if you have a praying spouse, that's what helps you survive. And I have a praying spouse, and that is how I'm here today.
Well, I want to say thank you for your service. And again, Still Standing, a true story of a Navy sailor, coming out later this month. And if you will share with us, how can we get a copy? It's
going to be on Amazon. You know, everything for the last 70 plus books, all Amazon, but that book means more to me. It is a very short read, and I did it on purpose so people can sit down in one setting. There are no details. There are no names, and we did that for the legal reasons. Because I found out the second one, she's still alive. The first one, she's gone, but we have to make sure we protect ourselves at all costs.
I'd like to say thank you to all of today's dialogue guests and all of you who have served and you've been a part of the fabric of these United States for 250 years. I still pray that God continues to bless America.